about maybe one of your blundered games.
Yeah, I do feel like this was a blundered game, so let's take a look at it. We'll close that so it doesn't get in anyone's way. So I'm going for a command center first, and I try to start the game off by being annoying. And he goes for a double conclave
I think
opening.
works here.
Yeah, I do think that this opening here is fine. I think I actually make one too many workers. Let's see. So I'm harassing, which is fine. I'm at 10 out of 10. Maybe I didn't. See, this doesn't have the nice user interface quite yet from the, just because it's obviously still in early beta. Okay, no, 12, 3, no, okay. So we're good. I made the command center on time. That was actually perfect.
Yeah, no, I see no flaw yet.
Yeah, so here obviously is still fine then. I healed the dog up to get back in there. He's got his...
Actually, this is the first mistake. There was a closer healing plant, correct?
Correct, yeah. I definitely should have gone to this one. I clicked away though, and sometimes that is the superior strategy. Like, even pros run out of APM, right? You only have so many actions per minute that you can spend, and the more you have to spend, the more you can leverage that, but I just kind of clicked away and then jumped back into the base to make sure that my timings were good without losing the unit. But yeah, optimally, I definitely should have gone for the flower. So,
if you had gotten that flower, do you think it would, and you were able to go back and bully, do you think you could have stopped the production of the gaunts?
No way. He still had two gaunts out probably by
Fair
then,
enough.
and so it probably wouldn't have changed anything. It's just nice to be tight, because if you're tight and they're not, right, then all of a sudden I'm coming in there and he doesn't have gaunts yet, something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, he went to the other speed camp, so I was very far behind. So he's gonna take these gaunts, he's gonna go get this speed camp, and it's gonna be a while before I send out my scout here. So he gets several fiends from this, I'm sure. Yeah. And he's expanding on the back of this. He's definitely been watching, yeah, look at this structure placement. He's definitely been watching some pro builds. So this is a very tight build order that he has. He has overproduced here, and this is still in production, but he's microing over here. That's why it's a little bit off. Oh, in fact, but at least he's making the workers, so that's good on his part. Even though they're not doing anything up here, he has them when it's time to drop them, and now he's gonna start producing a bunch.
Okay, yeah, there he split them.
Yeah, here's where I go and scout, and I definitely wasn't paying attention. Yeah. Not only is this dying, meaning I have less information, but it gives him one extra fiend, starting that snowball. So I know I'm supply blocked here in just a second, which is not great, objectively. But I do think that the call to make these towers at the front was good, because otherwise this early snowball can just end the game. Of course, I should have known, because he was building like this, he's definitely been watching Parting play, and that means he was definitely going for a gaunt drop. And I kind of knew that in the back of my head that that was an option. But
you clearly, it wasn't the first fear on your mind.
Yeah, I was worried about the frontal assault that I knew he was going to be going for. So, I didn't go for a dog opener, which is what can potentially shut down this kind of thing. Yeah, see, this could have been really bad. He actually could have moved in right now, and these would have still been building. I actually can't believe we just walked right by each other. Was that on camera?
Yeah, it was. And the thing is it's like,
So
I just don't know if he did that on purpose. I have to think not. I have
No,
to think
no,
he
no.
wasn't looking.
Neither of us were. We just kind of let us walk by each other. So he brings the whole army back here. That's a panic maneuver by him, and he actually drops. Oh, that's for supply. For supply block.
For a second, I thought it was purposeful because I thought he was going to go for the raid on the base, but no.
Oh, he was. He was. It was just that when I started attacking him, he panicked and decided to defend instead of attacking, which probably was a good call because he didn't act immediately, and so I did have these up. That said, I'm not producing at the moment, so actually he probably would have killed me if he just attacked there. That's kind of the benefit of being aggressive, though, because it's much easier to think tactically when you're not having any pressure put on you. And so, instead of attacking me, he's running around chasing me, which was the right call. I think it was also the right call to get these out. This is where the problem is. I haven't produced anything. So, for the last, like, 2 minutes, I could have double the army size right now.
Yeah.
And I could have a third base. So that's kind of why I say people I've heard people saying that that Infernals is the more complicated race. It's got more outlandish mechanics, and so you probably want to start with Vanguard. Vanguard is not the easier one to play. It's definitely Infernal, because he skipped 3 rounds of production at his base, and then he's able to just immediately make them. So it's more forgiving for someone who isn't familiar with RTS mechanics and making sure you're hitting those macro cycles. So yeah. I missed 3 macro cycles, and my army is half the size because of it. He missed 3 macro cycles, and he's got higher tier units and more of them as a result. So it really punishes you as a Vanguard player, but you're totally fine. Yeah, so this is definitely a blunder game. I should have already had this base up, and my army should be way bigger. I had to build 3 habitats because I was behind on supply. And here's where things go from bad to worse. So I didn't see that coming in. I should have been looking at the minimap. But honestly, it's not even that, because if I had been producing, then my everything would be larger than his.
Yeah. Because of that slip in production, now this is a way bigger issue.
Now it's a way bigger issue. Exactly. Ooh, I lost one too. That's not great. I wondered where that fiend came from. So, okay, if you didn't know, you can actually drop down here, which is nuts. Usually that would be dead space on maps, but in not in Stormgate. Here's my next big blunder. So he's obviously putting pressure on me. This is a good thing, right? Because I don't make good decisions under this kind of pressure. So I start producing out of these hangar bays. I lose most of my workers. But oh, this is more delayed than I thought. They're dropships. Now, dropships can't shoot at all. So if I could have shut this down right here and now by shooting his dropship out of the sky, this would be a way different game.
Luckily, the unit that you were producing is still on its way. But yeah, I mean, it should have been the first unit produced, right?
Yeah.
However, lucky enough, he seemed to not understand that dropships can't fire. So
well, he was running away from this army, and he probably thought I had something in it, or at least I could have. More importantly, he's just trying to be where my army is not. Now, that's what should have happened a minute ago. Unfortunately, I lost way more workers than I should have. Also, even though he's been busy macroing, you can see how just flooding out of these is
Magmadons.
Magmadons. Exactly. So that's kind of the forgiving nature of Infernals, right?
Yeah.
He misses 3 macro cycles because he's, or even 4 of them. You know, it's still a significant army increase. So I just put a few units in here. This was a good call for sure, but my army is tiny in comparison. This is how big my army should be. And I should be on the same tech too. But instead now I'm broke. I'm only barely getting that tech up. I don't have a machine lab, so... In fact, I even think I lose some of my ships here. Yeah. 2 of them. That's expensive. But at the same time, he wasn't looking. So I actually kill his mineral line here. I also wasn't looking, but I put myself in a good spot, so... I wondered where these came from. He just produced them. So, this was good micro on his part. Now, we are technically on the same amount of bases, but that should not fool you. I have 6 workers here, 13 here, 2, and none. So, even though he's technically on the same amount of bases as me, about to be, yeah, no, now he's on the same amount of bases, he does have double my workers.
Yeah, which is not
13 over here. So here's where, okay, these don't do anything. Those mines must be horribly bugged. I have them here the whole time. They don't go off no matter how many times things walk over them. So yeah, not sure what the deal with that is. He goes for the counterattack, which is solid. Again, here the issue is that I'm microing, and I should have, again, something way larger than this. It's just about the fact that I kept forgetting. And that's one of the biggest things in RTS, is that I hope that they actually go farther than they have already in Stormgate. So they're trying to make it more friendly to newbies. And part of that is making the interface easier to work with, giving you less like little things to do every couple seconds.
Yeah.
And some of these things have done that, like the global command card absolutely does serve that purpose, but it's also still very much an RTS that has that that issue of the base level to entry. Not even to be good at the game, but the base level to play is to be able to hit those macro cycles. And I'd love to see them make that a little bit easier.
How do you think that would affect upper level play if they did so?
Not really, because pro players haven't really breached what the upper limits of micro is.
So in other words, it could help benefit the whole community.
Potentially, yeah. I don't know that they should go super far with it, because you do still want there to be a macro element to the game. But certainly making it just a little bit more friendly would be nice. Things like not having to split your workers, like if it automatically divvied them up or something like that, or maybe there were features that you could turn on and off. Things like that could help the situation.
Got it.
So, yeah. I actually could have engaged this. He only has 4 gaunts. I have way more than that in Hornets, and you need basically a 2-to-1 ratio of gaunts to Hornets to contest them. So he goes for towers.
Which, not a bad idea on paper.
Not a bad idea. Not a bad idea. but I didn't make a small amount of Hornets. I doubled down on the Hornets, not because it's a good strategy, it's actually a terrible strategy. Because right now I could lose this entire army to like 1 or 2 Shadow Flyers, and you can see he's actually going for the Shadow Flyers. But, I shouldn't say 1 or 2, not since the patch. I could lose this army to like 3 or 4 Shadow Flyers, so for less than a quarter of what I have here, he could destroy everything. So,
Yeah.
I do try to, eliminate his ability to make Shadow Fires. That probably saved me right there. Killing those before I left, but I'm going home because he's counterattacking, which is also the right call, as you will see. Ooh, and... were they on hold command?
I think so.
No, it must be bugging out. It must be bugging out, because at this point I was watching, so the game is just bugging a little and they're not having their attack animation. Yeah. So he didn't produce enough anti-air with this. But unfortunately, he has the right idea of killing the Hanger Bank. To make sure that I can't make any more. But he can't kill the Hornets, and so he's losing these very expensive units. What is in here? I don't know if I ever noticed that I have stuff in here. Alright. So let's take a look at the state of the game. At this point, his macro isn't great. He definitely should have put his shrine here so that he could just mine off of both of them, but he's built double the shrines. That isn't necessarily a problem. He has too many iron bolts. Magmadon production is OP, but you want to temper it with your Conclave units for sure, because the reason why he can't make enough is... okay, interesting. Screw that fell hog. Okay, yeah, so at this point he's panicking a little, and he's forgotten to macro as well. That's good for us. This is definitely a lower level game. I know I've mentioned this in one of my other videos, but I enjoy high level play. I watch high level play. I do have chronic fatigue, and for anyone who's not familiar, that means that most of the time I'm functioning like a normal guy, but anytime I'm taxed mentally or physically, I can start to slow down both mentally and physically. And so I'll get pretty heavy brain fog if like even a game goes for too long. And so my hands start to shake, I can't think straight, and it makes it really hard to play high level RTS. And so I know what to do, I just can't make my hands do it. So you could say I'm more of like an analytical player. I can always look back at a game and say what I was doing wrong, but not necessarily able to do it. I do enjoy that this game does have you thinking a little more than just straight playing fast than a game like StarCraft 2 does. You can make sure that you have a solid strategy and then execute it, and that's kind of what Cheese is you do most of your playing before the game. Actually I should skip back here. This is the game winning move right here. The game bugged. So he has Shadow Flyers over here, and I know he's not paying attention, so I put the shield on and I just fly in and kill them. And then he doesn't have any anti-air because he hasn't been producing Gaunts. Now Gaunts do get shredded by Hornets, but
if you make them in high enough quality, they can actually stand a chance.
It's true. It's true. So yeah, here's obviously where he just doesn't have enough. So I actually think that it's not just that he didn't have enough anti-air. The other issue just is that he didn't go home in macro. So
I was gonna say, yeah, I think that it's he clearly went for the Shadow Flyer strat, but didn't go hard enough in it to quit production on Gaunts.
Yeah.
And because he lost track of the macros, I mean, there you go.
Yeah, so in the end, he made the same mistake I did, is he panicked and he didn't have the APM anymore to do what he needed to do. He could have easily dropped a couple more of these and been producing more Shadow Flyers. He was, but his worker spread wasn't good. He could have been mining a lot more. So obviously that's just playing in the lower leagues, but yeah. Definitely a big blunder on my part, though. Trying to maintain a cool head is a big deal. I didn't lose this. I don't know what's in there. Probably a couple of Lancers that I accidentally picked up during the fight. But anyway, I think that for anybody who's struggling in the lower leagues or is trying to get into RTS, just know that everybody has the same struggle, and it takes time and muscle memory to be fast. So whether it's physical limitations or just time limitations, you can think your way through the game to a certain extent. And who knows, if you enjoy the game enough, but you just struggle to play it, then let the devs know, and maybe there's something that can be built in the game still that can make it a little bit easier for slower players like us.